Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Redefining High Performance Podcast. My name is Ty Bennett, and this week is a special episode because I'm sitting down with a friend of mine and the current champion of American Ninja Warrior. It happened just a couple of days ago, Kai Beckstrand. Kai, first off, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
How fun is that to win the show?
Oh, I mean, it's a lifelong goal for anybody in the sport, kind of working towards that end all be all, winning the show.
So let's go back. When did you first discover American Ninja Warrior? How old were you?
So I first discovered American Ninja Warrior when I was 7 years old, kind of just watching as a family. My dad would throw it on, and it's just something that we could all watch together and not have to worry about anything too crazy. Just watching it purely for enjoyment at that time.
So as a 7-year-old, you're introduced to this sport, this show. At some point, you start training. I know you guys built a large, probably what started as a couple obstacles and then became a lot of obstacles in your house and backyard. And so 13 years later, you're now sitting here. Is it 13?
12. About, 12, 13 years.
Yeah. You're sitting here as the champion of American Ninja Warrior. Only a couple of people can actually say that, right?
Yeah.
And the show's history, there's only a handful who have ever actually won the show.
Yeah.
So at what point did you really start training, go beyond just watching the show and you guys started training?
I would say kind of just did it more so for fun between the ages of like 7 to 10 or 11. And I was right around 11, 12 years old where I really started to take it pretty competitively and traveling around for competitions and, putting in the work, knowing that I could eventually fulfill my goal of being on the show. At the time, that was my main goal, was just to even compete. Not even necessarily win, just go out there and give it everything I got. So to fast forward to now where I could even think about winning the show is pretty crazy to come full circle.
Yeah. So you were first on the show, American Ninja Warrior Junior, and that first season had a pretty amazing experience. Let's go back to that. What do you remember about that, and how old were you for the first time?
Yeah, so for the first season of American Ninja Warrior Junior, I was 12 years old. So I was in that 11 to 12-year-old category. And going into it, I knew kind of speed was my strong suit. I was a little bit taller than some of the athletes in my group. And so I knew I had kind of that little bit of advantage as far as reach goes. And just kind of taking some of my experience that I had developed over the last 5 or so years of training, even at the age of 12, having that under my belt, taking that with me. And just that overall competition mindset, just going into it with, the mindset that I know I can win.
Yeah. So American Ninja Warrior Junior, for those who didn't see it, was set up as head-to-head races.
Yes.
Which come full circle, and the show, the adult show, American Ninja Warrior, changed the format this year to that same format of head-to-head races.
Yes.
But go back to Junior, you ended up winning as the champion of the 11-12 age group. I'm curious, as a 12-year-old, you first start, you find the show, you start training, you get excited about it, and then you go have that experience and you win, right? Win some good money for a 12-year-old and have that experience. Did that change anything in your mindset in terms of where do I want to go with this, or what do I really see this being?
Definitely. I mean, going into it, didn't really think anything of it because I knew at the time I was only 12 years old. You had to be 18 to be on the regular show. So there's kind of that window, that 6 years of, well, what am I supposed to do? Do I just do these local competitions and try and further my craft that way? And then fast forward even the very next year, I was called back for season 2 of American Ninja Warrior Junior. So going into that second season, I was a little more nervous going into it, considering I was I was only 13 in the 13 and 14 category, so I was on the younger end. And so I knew I had to give it everything I got. And going forward in that, I kind of just made a little bit of a mistake, kind of pushing a little harder than I needed to in that final 4 round. So I ended up taking 4th place that year. So still good by any means, but.
So for those who are new to Ninja, you're running a course. And I'm curious how you look at it, because often I've heard Ninja described as like, who is the best on the course that day? Because sometimes you make a little mistake, you miss a grab, something happens and it changes the whole trajectory. When you're going in to compete, how do you look at, how you compare yourself, or if you do compare yourself, how you see, what happens in an overall competition?
Yeah, I mean, in the simplest answer, you're running your own race at the end of the day.
Perfect.
So you can see what other people are doing on the course and the beta that they're taking on a certain particular obstacle, but everybody's a little bit different. Some people are taller, some people are more explosive. So you have to use what you have to get through that obstacle. And so for me, the way that I go about it is I kind of come up with that idea in my head and I stick with it no matter what. I watch some other competitors go, and maybe there's one or two little tweaks that I can make about my particular strategy. But for the most part, I go in with what I want to do and I stick to it.
There's probably something to that, because indecisiveness is going to create either pause as the best case scenario or catastrophic, fall, something that happens, right? When you're trying to make those decisions in between. So when you say you develop your strategy, what does that look like from a visualization standpoint, or how do you go through that? If you're running, a 10 obstacle course, how defined is that in your mind?
I would say I kind of just run it through my head, and a lot of people are running through it multiple times, one after another. For me, I kind of just take one good walkthrough of the course that I'm about to run. I'd analyze every part of the obstacle as I go through, and I don't look back on it. If I find out a way that I want to do obstacle 1, I'm going to stick to it. I'm moving on to obstacle 2. I'm going to analyze that obstacle. I'm not even going to think about obstacle 1. And then that comes to running the course as well. When I'm up on the starting block, the only thing I'm thinking about is that first obstacle. No matter how easy, if it could be the striding steps, 5 steps in a row to a rope swing, I'm going to think about every single one of those steps. I'm not thinking about obstacle 2, because I know any little mistake and I'm in the water, I don't even get to obstacle 2.
It's a beautiful mindset when you think about just how you perform at a high level. It's taking it one step at a time, one obstacle at a time, being able to move through it and keeping your mind focused on just that in the present. Is that something you've learned over time, or is that something, because I think for a lot of people, two things happen. We live often in the future, right, where we're thinking too far ahead and what's going to happen on obstacle 3. If that's the hard obstacle, like the crux obstacle, you're like, okay, how do I get through that? And because of that, you're not focused on 1 and 2. Or we live in the past. If you make a mistake on a previous obstacle, you can't get past it, and you can see that start to spiral. How did you learn to be present one obstacle at a time?
I would say it definitely started more so on my first season of American Ninja Warrior. When I was competing, I had made it to the Vegas finals. I had made it past stage 1 and onto stage 2. So running at late hours of the night, I was more so focused on the second half of that stage 2 course. The first obstacle, like I said, kind of something very basic. It was just 8 steps right in a row. But you got to hit all those 8 steps right to make it to that rope. And I got a little bit complacent thinking about the next obstacle or the next. And I got a little bit crooked going across those steps, missed the rope, and was in the water on obstacle 1. So coming as a rookie, making it to stage 2, great experience. But going back with the knowledge I have now, knowing that I needed to focus a little bit more on that first obstacle, I definitely think I could have gone a little bit farther. But like you said, you can't live in the past. It's something I can take with me onward.
Well, it's a beautiful mindset. I remember watching that, and we all, knowing you, knew you had more in the tank, right? But mistakes happen. But to pull a lesson from that you can take moving forward, and that's changed the way that you approach a course, I think is beautiful, right? It's in our failures that we probably gain the best experience if we can learn from it. Okay, so we're going to get to this experience of winning the whole show, because I want to hear all of the feelings and emotions about it. But explain kind of how the filming process, take us behind the scenes, because I've been there and it's crazy, the whole experience of watching the filming. Now that you've lived it for multiple seasons of junior and now the adult show, walk us through what that looks like.
Yeah, so I would say the biggest difference for me going into my first season was just the hours that they're filming. So on junior, for obvious reasons, they were filming during the day. So you didn't really have to flip around your sleep schedule or anything like that. You were still running at optimal times. But going into the regular adult American Ninja Warrior, that definitely changed a little bit, having to run, you never know. It could be 9 p.m. at night, could be 2 in the morning.
Because they film, basically start at dark
as soon as the sun
Vegas,
goes down.
and they film all night, right?
Yeah, so they're taking every bit of that darkness to use to get best lighting for their show. And so, I mean, they start filming at 9 p.m., but that's not when the day starts for you. As an athlete, you have check-in at 5 p.m. You have to take the buses over to set. And once you're over there at set, you're there from 6 to 9, just trying to stay in that right headspace and staying relaxed and not overexpending yourself before you actually have to do your run. And while you're there, they'll pull you over for interviews, they'll pull you for B-roll shots or hero shots or anything like that. And you just got to be ready. You just got to be ready to do whatever they ask you to do at any time. You could be up in 5 runners and they might pull you for something real quick. So that kind of pulls into your warm-up time, your mental clarity, getting ready for your run. And then you kind of go forward into where they're taking you through the obstacles. So they obviously have to run everybody through the rules, so you know the rules of the course. And that's a little bit earlier while you're on set. So usually right when you get to set, they'll walk you through the rules. And that's right when I start game planning. And they go through the course one by one, and then they let you look at it as a whole for a couple minutes. But for me, I like to, like I said, take it one obstacle at a time. So every obstacle we're talking about rules-wise, I'm also game planning at the same time.
Yeah. I like earlier you said you used the word craft to describe what you do. And I think for anybody listening, regardless of if you're an athlete or you're in business or whatever you do, looking at what you do as a craft gives you a whole different approach, gives you a whole different mindset. Like, this is my profession. This is my craft. This is the skill that I'm trying. Like, so you're looking at it objectively and you're bringing in, okay, what's my best approach to this, right? Because you have strengths that other athletes don't have, and some of them are going to have bigger reach, or they do this skill a little bit easier, right? And so you're trying, how do I best accomplish this? I think I've noticed just in my study of it that high performers, they view what they do as a craft, because that means they're constantly working on it. They're always looking to improve what's the next step. And even in that with the show, you won junior the first year, second year you took 4th, then they changed the age for the regular show, right? So you were invited to be part of that, and you've been a finalist or in the final group multiple times. And so coming into this year, what do you think separates you at this time in your career this year that would allow you to win versus previous years, where maybe you had some of those learning experiences you brought with you from some of the failures, but what do you think brings that all together?
I would say what brings it all together is pretty much the format. Okay. So going into it, my first 3 seasons on the show was the standard format of a a qualifying course, a semifinals course, and the 4 stages in Las Vegas for the finals. And so my first 3 years, I kind of went in with the kind of training the same leading up to those 4 years. I knew I had to be pretty well hybrid athlete. I needed to have the speed for stages like stage 1 where it's a little more agility and the time is a little bit shorter. But I also had to have that endurance strength for the stage 3 later that night. So I had to be a pretty good hybrid athlete as far as training goes. But going into this season, kind of flipped my training schedule a little bit, knowing that they changed the format to races versus the 4 stages. I knew that I definitely had a better chance at winning this season, more so than in the past. And the biggest change was in season 16, I was able to make it to stage 4 to climb the rope on Mount Midoriyama for $1 million. And in training, I'd never practiced on a 75-foot rope before. So this is kind of my first time ever being on one of those. And so just being able to make it to the top without gassing out, regardless of time, was kind of just a great experience to get up there. Especially seeing previous winners like Vance Walker, who can just fly up that rope like no other. So after that, I kind of took it to heart. I was like, I might not be the best rope climber out there. As long as there's people like Vance out there, there might not be a chance of me beating them up the rope. So when they announced the change for the format, I knew that this was my year.
Okay. So it played to your strengths, but also then you changed your training to match that, right? So yes. I'm going to take advantage of it. I'm going to try and build on those strengths. I'm curious how you see it. You obviously won the show, and some people would go, okay, greatest ninja warrior out there. And I don't know that anybody could argue that. But I'm curious how you see it. Like, for those who aren't familiar with it, you take like the top 32 who make it to the final races, and they cut that down, race by race.
Yeah.
how do you see the caliber of all these athletes in comparison to where you are, or pulling this together to win it all? How do you look at that?
I look at it as kind of like you said, like it's the best ninja is whoever is performing the best that day. All the ninjas in the top 32 or the top 16, they're all capable of winning the show. It's whether or not the runs are ideal for them. If they have a clean run and the person they're racing has a mistake anywhere, that could cost them the whole run. So I kind of think of it as no matter who I'm going against, I have to give it my all no matter what. I can't get complacent with any competitors out there because I know just as easily as they can make a mistake, so can I. I mean, I try to get it to the point where I analyze every obstacle. I know exactly what I'm going to do, but mistakes happen no matter what. So
one of the things that made for great TV, but also was probably really interesting to live as it was happening, is in the final round of 8, you were pitted against your brother, Luke, who is also an incredible ninja. Arguably, you two, maybe two of the fastest out there, right? He had every chance to win the show too.
Yep.
So you end up going head to head with your brother. What does that feel like to you? What's going through your mind? What's the conversations with your family behind the scenes? What does that look like?
I mean, from an outsider looking in, you'd think, Kai's a bigger brother. He's got more experience on the show. But at the end of the day, he's my training partner. Yeah. I know exactly what he's capable of. And I'll tell you firsthand, it's just as good as I am. I mean, we run the same courses. We're within fractions of seconds on our speed courses. I mean, if there's anybody that would beat me, I think it'd have to be Luke. And so going into that race, I was probably more nervous for that race than any other race, that entire competition. Just because, and not because if I lose to him, like, oh, I lost to my little brother. If anything, that would be the best thing ever. To lose to your little brother, it's the only person I'd want to lose to in this whole competition. And I knew that was probably the most real likely possibility, was to lose to him, if anybody.
So as you're racing at a point near the second to last obstacle, he's ahead, right? He's got you by a little bit. What's going through your mind at that point?
I mean,
do you notice him out the corner of your eye? Like, I mean,
yeah. I mean, I got a little bit hung up on kind of obstacle 3, which is the ring hopper. I just wasn't as smooth coming down as he was, and I saw him dismount before me. So I knew he already had the advantage there. I knew we were pretty comparable on the rest of the obstacles going up to that point. So I knew I was going to have to kind of find those half seconds per obstacle to make up some ground. And luckily for me, I have a little bit more leg power. So going into that second to last obstacle where you do have to jump to the bar and kick the board up to lock it into place, I was able to do that in one quick kick and get off of there just a little bit quicker than he was.
Yeah. I mean, so for those who haven't seen it, and if you haven't, you need to go back and watch on Peacock and watch all these races. But I mean, these races, many of them are coming down to fractions of seconds, right? You guys are neck and neck, hitting the buzzer right before the other person's hitting the buzzer. It's fantastic to watch. It's crazy, the adrenaline that's pumping. Once you beat Luke, what are you feeling for the rest of the races? Like, if that was the one you're probably the most nervous for, you've got a couple more. Like, what happens then?
After that, I mean, I knew if I could have a comeback like that, then there's a high chance that I could take the whole thing. So I knew I had 2 more races after that. I knew that I just had to be clean. Had to be clean and smooth through those next 2. I already had the fastest time through the course up to that point, so I knew I just had to maintain from that point on.
What do you do to maintain nerves? Like, obviously pressure's building as you go. I mean, you're racing from 64 people, cutting it down, race by race, down to like the final 2, right? And how do you maintain composure? How do you keep your head, like what are you doing to keep yourself level and approach it with the right mentality, the right energy, the right breathing? Like, what is that practice for you?
Definitely, I would say it comes down to just knowing how like nerves and competition work. Like, you're always more nervous to start something. Once it's going, you kind of find that rhythm. You get into that flow.
You get on that first obstacle.
Exactly. Yep. So walking up to the starting block, that's probably the most nervous you're going to be ever. As soon as that countdown starts and it says go, as soon as I'm on the course, I'm doing my thing. Those nerves are gone. I know I have the capabilities to get through this. So I just got to do it.
So the muscle memory locks in. It's probably a good lesson for all of us that the most nervous you're going to be is on the starting block of whatever it may be.
To start something.
And if you've put in the time, if you've prepared, if you've trained, then that muscle memory is going to kick in, and then you're going to be able to do your thing, right? Exactly. So you win the show, you hit that final buzzer. What does that feel like? Like this is a dream from when you were 7 years old, seeing the show, to fast forward 13 years, full circle, and that just happened. What's going through your mind?
Dude, it's so surreal. I mean, when I hit that last buzzer, I just collapsed. I landed on the platform, dove for the buzzer, collapsed to the platform. And before I knew it, Luke was running from the sidelines, picked me up, big group hug. I mean, just to see that many people there supporting me, and just to see, I mean, I just knocked Luke out 2 races ago, but to see him just as happy for me as I would have been for him.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So from a life perspective, you're about to get married. You just won the show. I mean, life is good right now, right?
That's good.
I'm curious, because sometimes like when you have this goal, you're going after it. You have the people that, you hit that goal and like, that's your peak, right? That's your Mount Midoriyama. You finally won the show. But for you, where does your mentality leave you? Like what's next for Kai Beckstrand?
I would say what's next for me is, I always want to compete on the show. For me, the money's just a bonus. It's not about the money. It's about proving that I am able to put in the work, put in dedication to, like you said, my craft. Like, this is what I do, and I just want to show everybody that I am. I don't want to be cocky here, but I want to be the best, and so I'm going to put in the work to do that, and I want to show people.
What do you think? This process. I mean, obviously, winning the show feels like a culmination, but this whole process. What do you feel like? If you could distill a couple of lessons that it's taught you, that regardless if you continue to pursue Ninja or not, what would you carry with you?
I would just carry those lessons that I've learned across competing on the courses, like focusing on the task at hand, kind of diving into something even though you may be nervous about it. It's like the nerves to start something are real, and it's once you start it, you get in the flow and you get going, they're gone. So I would just say any lessons that you can take away from it can be applied in numerous ways. It doesn't have to be straight up.
Yeah, I think lessons, I love analogies with sports because I think we learn so much from that, right? Like with my kids, whether they're competing in Ninja or other sports, I've just always gone, whether you become a pro athlete or not, like taking some of these lessons, the confidence that it gives you to know that if I put in the work, I can achieve at a certain level. The being able to fail and take the learning lesson out of that and apply it, in the future when it changed your mindset, it changed your approach to how you run courses.
Yeah.
I think that's the point, right? Mm-hmm. That's the biggest takeaway for sure. When you think about high performance, whether it's a Ninja or anything else, what comes to mind for you?
For me, high performance is just showing up every day, the consistency aspect of it. And, you got to understand that there's going to be hard days. You're not going to feel the greatest. You might have, even just in training, you might have a fall here or there, but you got to take that and apply it to next training session. Like, this is an area that I need to work on to get better, to perfect what I'm doing.
Yeah. There's probably times that I've watched you compete that I would maybe use the word perfection, right? I've seen you do some things that I go, okay, that was flawless. I don't know how you do it any better. But for you, as you're trying to develop this craft, are there ever times that you're like, that was perfect, or you're constantly pushing, how do I tweak it a little bit more?
I would say there are definitely times, especially in the speed courses, there's always going to be a point where you cannot go faster. Yeah. There's always going to be a max limit on how fast you can push a certain obstacle. And so my goal is to find that point, get to that point. And you may be fast on one course, but that doesn't only apply to that course. You can then translate some of the movements, the directional changes, and you can apply that to another course or even another competition entirely.
Yeah. For those who are listening and maybe you don't know that much about American Ninja Warrior, hopefully this has been enlightening to the sport and the show and those things. But there's so many lessons that you can take out of this conversation about a mindset, the approach, the way you see things, the way you learn, the way you grow in perfecting and pursuing a craft, whether it's ninja or anything else. When you think about, I love that you brought in, the way that came full circle, Luke supporting you. I know that your family and you've had an incredible support system. For you, having that support system along the way, what has that meant to you? How do you think that has changed the trajectory of what you've been able to do?
I think it's changed the trajectory tremendously. I mean, without the support, without the training partners that I've made along the way, without the friendships of competitors, not only local, but some competitors up north, all around the country, especially showing up to a competition. And you got to understand, with those bad days, the people who are going to support you are still going to support you. They're not going to think of you any differently by simply making a mistake here or there. And so you got to take that and kind of apply that nobody's going to judge you for making those mistakes. If anything, they're going to applaud you for taking that risk. Whether it comes out successful or it ends up in failure, you can always take that and apply that to the next challenge.
Yeah, I love it. This has been a fun conversation, Kai. First off, congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, seriously, you are now in a handful of people who have ever won the show. To be the champion of American Ninja Warrior is a big deal. It's been fun to watch your journey, and I can't wait to see where else this journey takes you.
Well, thank you.